Hey, good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the July 18th Finance Committee meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Member Cahill, Member Chaplin,
Here.
Member Childress, Member Covert,
Here.
Member Desart, Member Eckhoff, Member Evans,
Here.
Member Galassi, Member Garcia,
Here.
Member Guston, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Ozog, Member Rutledge, Member Schwarzy, Member Tornatori, Member Yu, and Member Zay.
Okay, great. We have a quorum. I'm advised we have no public comment. Under Chairwoman remarks, we are going to push back our pre-budget workshop to August. Staff is still working with the departments and countywides on shoring up the budget a little bit. So like I said, we'll push that back to August. Today we have to end our meeting promptly at 9:30. So we do have executive session, which we have a very important topic under executive session. So I'll be ending discussion or the meeting portion of our meeting at 9 o'clock. Any items under discussion that we haven't fully discussed, we can move over to August, but it's imperative today that we end our meeting right at 9:30. So with that, I welcome our Baker Tilly. We have a Baker Tilly presentation and we have our Baker Tilly representative.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joe Lightcap. I'm a director with Baker Tilly, and I'm here to present the report of our audit results to the Finance Committee this morning. A little bit about my agenda. I will be going over the engagement team, the 2022 audit deliverables, the audited financial statements, the reporting and insights letter, and then open it for discussion. Of course, that discussion can occur at any time. Just feel free to stop me. My comments will all be at a very high level this morning, but if you have any questions, we can go into those at any point. Before I get started, I like I always do with the county, I'd like to thank the finance department for their help to accomplish our audit. It's a large undertaking, as you can imagine. In the finance committee, the finance department, we ask a lot of questions. We get a lot of support for those questions, and they're very helpful, responsive, and it's a great partnership to prepare the financial statements and get them presented to you in a timely manner. A little bit about the audit team. There's myself, the audit manager, Anna Wizawadi, the supervising audit senior, Cynthia Park, and then the quality control partner, Jason Coyle. I think this is important for your information, just because we are open to the finance committee and the county board at any point during the year. I do reach out to the board before we get started with our audit during the planning phase. But of course, if you have any questions or comments at any point during the year, we're open for those discussions. The fiscal year 22 audit procedures are complete, and our reports were dated May 31st, 2023. A little bit about the 2022 audit deliverables. The audited financial statements for the year ended. They were audited in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards in the United States. And then the reporting and insights letter from the 2022 audit. These are our non-financial highlights that satisfy a few different auditing standards we're required to report. Going a little bit about the audited financial statements. First off, in performance of the audit, we also assist the county with a few non-audit services. This is common amongst local government audits, especially in Illinois. We help prepare the annual comprehensive financial report, and coming with that, we propose adjusting and conversion journal entries, kind of get the county's trial balances and general ledger into the kind of the format of the annual comprehensive financial report. The general ledger is all set up for the day-to-day operations, and the county finance department prepares journal entries to present on the different basis of accounting presented in the report. There's just a few things that we prepare to help the financial statements be in good accordance with accounting standards. We also prepared part 2 of the data collection form. This is more just of an administrative role and easier to do on our part. The independent auditor's report, we once again issued a clean or unmodified opinion of the county's financial statements, the highest level of assurance you can gain from your outside auditors. and states that the information within it is reasonable in all material respects and can be reasonably relied upon by an outside user of the financial statements. Our opinion does not cover the airport authority. That's audited by other auditors. They issue their audit and we incorporate it within the county's annual comprehensive financial report. Really at my high level overview of the annual comprehensive financial report. I'm going to go on to the reporting insights letter which deals with our internal controls and our audit procedures. If there's any comments or questions on the annual comprehensive financial report, I'll take a little bit of a pause here to answer those. Okay. So the reporting and insights letter, as I mentioned, it satisfies a few different auditing standards that we're required to report on to those charged with governance. A little bit about our audit responsibilities, our auditor's responsibilities. So the objective of the financial audit is to express an opinion on the financial statements, and we consider internal controls to prepare that opinion, not to necessarily provide an opinion on internal controls, but to help determine the nature, timing, and extent of our audit procedures. We'll go a little bit over the results of that in a little bit. Management's responsibility to prepare and fairly present financial statements, establish and maintain effective internal control over financial reporting and compliance with laws and regulations, compliance with the types of requirements described by the OMB compliance supplement, which is your audit of your federal awards, and then to provide a written representation at the conclusion of the audit. That written representation is included at the back of the audit results letter for your information. A little bit about the qualitative aspects of accounting practices. During the year, the county adopted GASB statement number 87 for the accounting for leases, which put some additional receivables and liabilities on the financial statements. The net impact really isn't that great on a year-to-year basis, but we increased receivables and liabilities for the governmental activities as well as the business type activities, the water and sewer. The accounting estimates were reasonable in relation to the financial statements as a whole. The financial statement disclosures were neutral, consistent, and clear. We had no difficulties performing the audit, no disagreements with management. We had no material audit adjustments, which is, again, always great to see. We did have a couple of past adjustments, so immaterial adjustments that were not recorded in the financial statements. The IMRF variance is one that we have annually, and it's really challenging for us to actually record because it has to do with IMRF and their actuarial results in relation to their audit. So it's really a third party that we're just kind of keeping an eye on it, making sure it doesn't get material. And then some revenue recognition from a prior year that we found in this year's audit. There were no consultation with other accountants by the finance department and no significant issues discussed. These are upcoming accounting pronouncements. GASB 91 for conduit debt, which I don't expect will really impact the county's financial statements. GASB 96 for subscription-based IT arrangements, which could have a similar impact. Not necessarily dollar amount, I'm not sure of that. That leases did this year is kind of the sister accounting standard to that. And then GASB 101 for compensated absences. These are all in future years, and like we've done with in the past. You know, the finance department understands these accounting standards. They implement these standards, and we'll help them throughout the process. And internal control matters, as I mentioned, we look at internal controls, significant transaction cycles to plan the nature, timing, and extent of our audit procedures. If we come across a comment or a weakness where we feel like the board should be aware of, we would present that in the letter as a significant deficiency. And if there were comments, internal control matters where we thought there could be a potential material weakness to the financial statements, we would present those as well. As we've had in the last couple of years, we have no material weaknesses in internal controls for the county's audit. And we do have one repeating significant deficiency around the non-treasurer held bank accounts. Yes, sir.
Because this is where we need to focus on. I think Jeff's team, you did a phenomenal job in getting all these management comments off that continued year after year after year. And Jeff's team is taking care of that, and it's the first thing you should do. The care center's finally gone. So again, great job. But the last one, I don't think, staff can do anything. I think that's up to us. These non-treasury held accounts that are out there that don't go through our system. And your one paragraph here, I think, and you could emphasize this for us, by operating outside the auspices of the county's primary system of internal control, there is a risk that the county's financial statements would exclude transactional activity and existing bank account balances without the knowledge of management or this county board. Additionally, errors or fraud could occur in these accounts without being discovered that would have otherwise been identified within the primary control procedures. This thing's been on here every year, raise it every year. This board's got to take that issue right now. And every one of these elected officials who come to us in their budget has to tell us why they won't put it on our system and go through our great internal controls that we have that could identify potential fraud. Not saying that's not happening. And I know in here, management's response was they worked real hard to identify all the accounts. And I've asked Nick to give that to us, to give us all the accounts. But this thing continues year after year. You just made a comment about it. It's the only one left. I mean, years ago, we used to have like 6 or 7 and continue to repeat. But since Jeff took over, it's the first thing you should do is focus on your management letter and the issues, and they don't show up the next year. And we've done a great job. And I know there's some issues with that care center, but we got to take care of it. But maybe you can speak to that, how important it is for it to go through our internal control.
Well, I think, you summed up the point very well. And I think that is why it is included in our letter as a significant deficiency. So it's not something where we found audit adjustments. It's not necessarily even to the level of our audit where there's material transactions going through these cycles, but it is something that we've noticed during our audit and need to present to the board and keep you aware of so that you can keep asking those questions and management can keep working.
But I would ask the chairwoman to have every elected official come in front of us with the accounts and ask them why and give us a reason why it doesn't go through our.
Yeah, we can do that through the budget process. But as you know, they don't report to us, but we can definitely ask the question and apply a little pressure to make sure that they're, to try to move them onto our system.
Well, we approve their budget, and if they're asking me for some new thing and they're not giving me what.
Right. Right. No,
Pretty easy.
I understand. No, it's a good suggestion, Member Krajewski. Yes, Member Cahill. Oh, your microphone, please.
How many non-treasurer bank accounts are there?
Jeff will come up. Good morning, Jeff.
We identified 63.
63.
Um,
Oh,
there's 42 that are held by elected officials. There are 7 that are held by departments, but those are more, they kind of have to be in some of the departments have to be held in the department because they're like paying water bills online, e-pay. I know in animal services, to pay a fee, they use e-pay, go online and use e-pay or come in and do that. Those are cases though, where we actually get the bank statement from those departments. But again, we are working collaboratively with all the departments, including the electeds, to try to get on a monthly basis all these bank statements, whether we'll eventually be able to put them through the general ledger and through the treasury. I'm not sure. We'll keep working through that.
why can't we get them all in-house?
Some of the departments really want that control. For example, if a check needs to be cut, they don't want to have to go through the treasurer's office and wait for that check. Sometimes they need to get a check out through that account as soon as possible.
But they don't have the same type of, when we have our treasurer looking out for all the different bank accounts, we are sure that the balances can coincide with the FDIC regulations and everything. We don't know what these other accounts are doing. And that poses a large risk. And I would recommend that if our auditor this is a repeat comment, we have to make an effort this year to bring these 63 accounts into the treasurer's office. and what we can do to do that. What we need to do to do that.
Well, I think Member Krajewski stated it best. We're going to need, for the majority of these, especially the 42, cooperation from those elected departments. I can tell you that, for example, the commissary fund that's held by the sheriff, the internal auditor does an audit of that, reconciles that. And some of these are submitted to the auditor's office for reconciliation.
But it just seems like a big risk if it's not even being reconciled. Second thing, I have a question for Joe. What other, this is internal control matters, what other management letter comments do you have?
These are the extent of what is in our management letter as rising to the level of comments for the board.
There are other comments in there, though.
There are no other comments in the
Okay,
letter,
just
no.
these-
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, the patient, the care center isn't actually in the letter. It's just for your information in this meeting as it's been there in the past.
Okay, then the second comment is your comment about IMRF. So you said you're waiting till it becomes material. So are you talking about the unfunded pension
No,
liability?
no, we're not waiting for it to be, so I didn't apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off. We're not waiting for it to become material. We're keeping an eye on it. So IMRF, they have an actuarial report to determine the net pension liability. Then they do this early on to make sure that you have this actuarial report, and then they get audited. And then sometimes the net position in IMRF for the county is different between the actuarial report and their audit. And this is so that you can get this report in a timely manner. If you had to wait for them to get audited as well, it would just delay the process. It's this difference between what their audit says your net position is and your actuarial report, the actuarial report that IMRF does for you. That's what we're keeping an eye on to make sure that that's not material. And I honestly, I'm not sure what we would do if it was material, except for disclose for it. It's a timing difference more than anything else.
Okay,
Can-
and then one last comment for Jeff. Can we get a listing, the board, of those 63 accounts? Good. And then what their balance is as of year end, November 30th, so we know what we're looking at here?
Well, the first thing I can get you immediately is the accounts.
Okay.
Balances are going to take some work. I have to coordinate that with all the departments.
Look, I'm going to ask a question. Are our elected officials audited?
Yes,
So the elected officials
if,
have audits done of their offices.
for example, Baker Tilly wanted these bank accounts, the finance department would contact that elected office and ask for all that documentation. And do you, to some degree, get some of this?
Within our work on cash and investments is the county as a whole, we do confirm balances with the bank accounts. And we look at reconciling items that would be significant or material between the bank and the book. But it's all under the overall audit of the county and what might be material or significant given the different audit procedures we perform and tests we perform. An audit is not designed necessarily to find fraud. No, it's not about the little detail.
Okay, thank you. Member Glassy, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. In addition to, if we get a list of the 63 accounts, I would also just be curious which elected offices are holding those accounts. It's okay.
While that's going around, I do want to comment on the care center comment, because when we met with the finance department of the care center, it was very impressive the amount of detail they went through to kind of right size the comment and correct for the comment and keep things going in a better direction. So I just wanted to make that comment because it was really, I was very impressed when I met with them. It's really the extent of my presentation for you. Again, my contact information should there be any other questions.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Member Krajewski.
Again, I want to reiterate to Jeff and your team, because when you came on board, we had 7 or 8 of these management comments and you focused on getting rid of them. And I know last year we had 2, the care center and this one. And you said the care center did a great job. I mean, focus was given to get these corrected. But I think the only way to get the last one corrected is this board has to, we have to put the pressure on elected officials.
Yeah, well, and maybe we can get I don't know, a state's attorney's opinion on this, because I know that the elected officials sometimes have to cut checks from their own departments. We have all kinds of the recorder, the clerk of the circuit court, some of them have to have that ability to do that. So maybe we can get I'll talk with the state's attorney's office too after this.
Well, there may be a couple of funds that for particular reasons have to stay outside of it for confidentiality, whatever but that needs to be explained to us so we identify. But
Yes.
Most of these, and I can see based on your report you just gave us, Jeff, that the sheriff's department, the EPAs and the department
Yeah.
are already working on them. So it's really only leaving the biggest one that looks like the clerk of the circuit court.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that. I think it's clear with the handout that we have done a significant amount of work, and with the departments that are, under the county board, that staff out in the field has been great with us. And the treasurer's office, even though they're doing an enormous amount of work with their own internal systems, has spent time working on bringing all the EPA accounts. We do have a few accounts that are a little bit problematic because maybe there's an emergency and somebody needs a check written overnight, but we're still, we've been working with Mary Keating's team to think about how can we do it faster? How can we change our internal process? There are a few where we have to change our internal process to make it work. But for the most part, the sheriff's office has been very helpful with us. They're sending us our statements monthly. So we just have, kind of one or two big obstacles before we resolve this. But I think this year has been very productive, and I like to thank our accounting team. They've worked hard on this issue. So I just wanted to give a little bit of flavor and detail with what's actually happened. I think you can see that from the handout too.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And yes, and thank you for your presentation, and thanks for answering the questions. And anybody that has any other questions, please feel free to reach out. Okay, with that, we move on to the approval of minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the Finance Committee meeting minutes from June 27, 2023? I'm sorry, who made that motion? Motion by member Rutledge, second by member Childress. Any discussion or corrections to the minutes? All in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. We move on to item 7, budget transfers. Can I have a motion on FIR 016723, budget transfers from 7/18/2023, various companies and accounting units? I had a motion by member Krajewski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. We move on to procurement requisitions. I'll call on member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIP 0011-23, recommendation approval of contract issued to Titan Image Group for property assessment mailers, $172,920.
Motion by member Cahill. No, motion by member Guston, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you. I think I moved on that one, but I'll move on this one again.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
FI 1P 0012-23, recommendation for the approval of a contract issued to Mesero Financial Investments for our 457 plan, $162,000 not to exceed.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Krajewski. We move on to Health and Human Services, and we have member Schwarzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did want to mention as a part of my update, I will be giving a food pantry update under old business later this morning.
Great.
With that, I move on item 2325 FMP 0103-822, an amendment to resolution FMP 0103-22 issued to Door Systems ASSA Abloy US Inc. for preventive maintenance and repair service for automatic and manual doors with threshold closers as needed for county facilities, for facilities management for a change order to include the DuPage Care Center, and increase the contract in the amount of $35,000, resulting in a new total contract amount not to exceed $95,780, and an increase of 57.58%.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on item HSP 6223, a recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Professional Medical and Surgical Supplying to furnish and deliver ostomy, tracheostomy, urological and enteral supplies and services, Med B, and internal feeding formulas for the DuPage Care Center for the period July 30th, 23 through July 29th, 24 for a total contract not to exceed $72,000 under bid renewal 2240 DCC, the first of 3 one-year optional renewals.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, the motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on item HSP 6323, a recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Medline Industries, Inc. to provide various linens for the DuPage Care Center for the period August 10th, 23 through August 9th of 24 for a contract total not to exceed $72,000. Contract pursuant to the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act Omnia Partners Cooperative.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, the motion carries. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSP 6423, a recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Alpha Baking Company to provide assorted sliced breads, rolls, and sandwich buns for the DuPage Care Center, JTK Administrative Building, and JOF Building Cafes for the period August 5th, 23 through August 4th, 24 for a contract total not to exceed $37,000 under bid renewal 2255 DCC, first of 3 one-year optional renewals.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Childress. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you, member Schwarzy. We move on to Digital Public Safety. Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move on item JPSP 005723, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Insight Public Sector for the purchase of laptops, desktops, monitors, printers, and small IT equipment for the clerk of the circuit court for a total contract amount of $111,614.
Motion by member Evans, second by member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, member Evans. That was a short one today. We move on to Public Works with member Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval of FMP 007323, recommendation for the approval of a contract to WSP USA Design, Inc. to provide on-call professional architectural and engineering services as needed for window design at the South Wing Care Center and construction administration for the DuPage County Historical Museum masonry and building stabilization, facade and gutter repairs for facility management for the period of July 18, 2023 through November 30, 2026 for a total amount not to exceed $95,000.
Motion by member Garcia, second by member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Member Garcia.
I move for approval of FMP 007423, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Ashland Door Solutions LLC to provide door maintenance, door sales, and installation as needed for county facilities for facilities management for the period of July 19, 2023 through July 18, 2024 for a total contract amount not to exceed $30,000.
Motion by member Garcia, second by member Childress. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Member Garcia.
And I move for approval of FMP 007523, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Berglund Construction Company for the DuPage County Historical Museum masonry and building stabilization, facade and gutter rebuilding for facilities management for the period of July 18th, 2023 through August 31st, 2024 for a contract total amount not to exceed $725,000.
Motion by member Garcia, second by member Childress. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you, member Garcia. We move on to stormwater with member Zay.
Morning, Madam Chair. I'm going to step out on this first item. Member Eckhoff's going to take it for me.
Please let the record reflect member Zay leaving the room. Okay. Member Eckhoff. Oh, your microphone, please.
I would move approval of AE 123-2356. Amendment to resolution SMP 51-20 issued to Christopher Burke LTD for hydraulic modeling and floodplain mapping services for the Pine Creek watershed. To increase the total amount by $46,820 for a total amount not to exceed $141,820.
I have a motion by member Eckhoff, second by member Krajewski. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. We'll wait for member Zay to get back. Welcome back, member Zay.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Move on SMP 5923, recommendation into an agreement between DuPage County and Hayne Associates for professional engineering services to design stream bank stabilization projects throughout the county for the period of July 11th, 2023 through November 30th, 2024, for the amount not to exceed $85,000.
I have a motion by member Zay, a second by member Childress. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move on SMP 60-23, recommendation to enter an agreement between the County of DuPage and Engineering Resource Associates, professional engineering services to design drainage, stormwater, and flood control improvements throughout the county from July 11th, 2023 through November 30th, 2024, in the amount not to exceed $200,000.
I have a motion by member Zay, a second by member Desart. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move on SMP 61-23, approval of contract issued to Earthworks Land Improvement and Development for Country Club Highlands Phase 2 drainage improvements for stormwater management, the amount $2,699,424 per lowest responsible bid.
Motion by member Zay, second by member Desart. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move on SMR 70-23, amendment to resolution SMR 294-22 for a grant agreement with the city of Wheaton for Dorset Flood Improvement Project for an increase of $66,263.
Motion by member Zay, second by member Desart. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Zay.
Madam Chair, move on SMR 71-23, amendment to resolution SMR 10-23 for a grant agreement with the Village of Hinsdale for Charleston Road Drainage Project for an increase of $66,506.
Motion by member Zay, second by member Desart. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair, move on SMR 72-23, amendment to resolution SMR 9-23 for a grant agreement with the Village of Hinsdale for Fifth and Grant Drainage Project for an increase of $87,480.
Motion by member Zay, second by member Desart. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member
Thank you, Madam
Zay.
Chair.
We move on to technology. Member you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on TEP 005723, recommendation for the approval of contract purchase order to CDW Government for the annual maintenance and support of Veritas Net Backup software for information technology. This contract covers the period of September 24, 2023 through September 23, 2024 for a contract total amount of $57,694.48.
Motion by member you, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member you. We move on to transportation. Member Ozag.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to combine items G 1, 2, and 3.
Have a motion by member Ozag, a second by member Zay to combine items 1, 2, and 3 under transportation. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTP 0241B20, an amendment to resolution DTP 0241A20 issued to V3 companies for professional design Phase 2 engineering services for improvements along County Highway 23 Naperville Road from Warrenville Road to Ridgeland Avenue to increase the funding in the amount of $46,813.18, resulting in an amended contract total of $633,222.91, an increase of 7.98%. I move for approval of an amendment to resolution DTR 0242A21 issued to H&H Electric Company for mast arm replacement and traffic signal modification at various intersections within DuPage County, Section 21 TSMAR 02GM, to increase the funding in the amount of $1,098.82, resulting in an amended contract total amount of $624,702.37, an increase of 0.18%, cumulative increase of $12,598.82. I also move for approval of amendment to the resolution DTR 0172B22 issued to K5 Construction Corporation for the 2022 pavement maintenance South program, Section 22 PVMTC 18GM, to increase the funding in the amount of $150,000, resulting in amended contract total of $4,947,388.59, an increase of 3.19%, cumulative increase of 5.32%.
I have a motion by member Ozak, second by member Garcia. Any discussion on these items? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Ozak.
Okay, I move to combine items 4 through 12, which are all contract approvals.
Okay, we have a motion by member Ozog, a second by member Zay to combine items 4 through 12. All in favor? Okay, the items are combined. Member or opposed? Items are combined. Member Ozog, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval of DTP 008023, recommendation for approval of a contract to Lightly Enterprises of Ohio to furnish and deliver roll-up signs as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period July 19th, 2023 through July 18th, 2024, for a contract total not to exceed $40,020 per lowest responsible bid. I move for approval of DTP 008123, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Mandel Metals Incorporated, doing business as United Standard Sign Company, to furnish and deliver aluminum sign banks as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period July 19th, 2023 through July 18th, 2024, for a contract total not to exceed $49,667.88 per lowest responsible bid. I move for approval of DTP 008223, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Superior Asphalt Materials to furnish and deliver bituminous paving materials and UPM bituminous cold patch as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period August 1st, 2023 through March 31st, 2024, for a contract total not to exceed $61,400 for lowest responsible bid. I move for approval of DTP 008323, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Lightly Enterprises of Ohio to furnish and deliver sign faces as needed for the Department of Transportation for the period July 19th, 2023 through July 18th, 2024, for a contract total not to exceed $65,107.67 per lowest responsible bid. I move for approval of DTP 008423, recommendation for the approval of a contract to MDS Solutions to furnish and deliver signpost and materials as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period July 19th, 2023 through July 18th, 2024, for a contract total not to exceed $75,461.20 per lowest responsible bid. I move for approval of DTP 008523, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Lightly Enterprises of Ohio to furnish and deliver reflective sheeting rolled goods as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period July 19th, 2023 through July 18th, 2024, for a contract total not to exceed $90,000 per lowest responsible bid. I move for approval of DTP 008623, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Robinson Engineering for professional phase 2 design engineering services for the replacement of the DuPage County fuel facility for the period July 18th, 2023 through November 30th, 2025, for a contract total not to exceed $170,874.63. Professional services vetted through a qualification-based selection process in compliance with Illinois Local Government Professional Services Selection Act. I now move for approval of DTP 008723, recommendation for the approval of a contract to CIT Trucks to furnish and deliver one semi-tractor for the Division of Transportation for a contract total not to exceed $177,526.41 per Sourcewell contract. And I move for approval of DTP 008823, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Rush Truck Centers of Illinois for the purchase of 8 plow trucks with snow and ice equipment for the Division of Transportation for a contract total not to exceed $2,664.40 per Sourcewell contract. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a motion by member Ozog, a second by member Desart. Any discussion on any of these items? Okay.
I
Okay,
have answers if you need them.
all in favor?
Thank you. Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, member Ozog. We move on to finance resolutions. Member Kudrowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on 23-2265, Supervisor of Assessment Staff to attend continuing education seminar in Moline, not to exceed $150 or $1,050.
Motion by member Kudrowski, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Kudrowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on 23-2405, ratification of a side letter agreement between the County of DuPage and the DuPage County Sheriff's maps number 126.
Motion by member Kudrowski, second by member Childress. Any discussion on this? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Kudrowski.
Madam Chair, I move on FI 0004-23, ordinance determining compensation of DuPage County Public Defender.
Motion by member Kudrowski, second by member Childress. Yes, member Krajewski, go ahead, please.
Yeah, this is to do 90% of state's attorney based on the statute. No, that's, you could take
Yeah.
it. I'd
Yeah.
rather have,
Yes, per state statute, the public, to maintain a full-time public defender and receive 66.33% of their salary, you have to hit 90% of what the state's attorney is.
and so yeah, 90%. Do we know, or maybe Jeff knows, are any other counties or anybody give, as the county give extra above the 90% required? Because I know like,
I believe so, from what I understand, yes. This is just to make it.
well, I know
meet
we're getting the
statutory.
90,
Yep.
but I was wondering if other counties give more than the 90. And if we should look at that, I mean, we want to be comparable with other counties in addition to, we always want to be the leader here in DuPage.
If Jeff is amenable, I'll gladly work with him to find those numbers and determine
And
that.
I know, I think we do, because we're mandated to give the ROE certain dollar amount, but we as a county board have added extra to that salary also here in DuPage. So
Yes,
I
sir.
just would think that maybe we should look at that, maybe have Jeff give us a report, and see. Because we're just taking it for what the minimum statute says.
Correct, correct. Thank you. Member Zay, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, as I read it, Madam Chair, it says at least 90.
Mhm,
Doesn't mean we're prohibited to going up higher.
Correct.
Correct.
I mean, Jeff's been here a long time. I mean, we shouldn't be doing the minimum. We should be doing, I think, above that for the work we all know he's done over the years here for the public defender's office. So again, I'd like to see it go higher than the minimum that we have for him.
Thank you, member Zay. Member Tornatori, did you have a comment too, or no? Okay, okay, thank you. So we have some direction to where we'll go with this in future meetings. So thank you. All those in favor? Opposed, the motion carries. Member Krajewski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0119-23, acceptance appropriation of the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, $547,398.
Motion by member Krajewski, second by member Zay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, the motion carries. Member Krajewski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to combine items 9E through 9J, which all are additional appropriation or acceptance and appropriation resolutions.
Motions to combine items 9E through 9J by member Krajewski, second by member Schwarzy. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, the items are combined. Please proceed, member
Thank you,
Krajewski.
Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0160-23, additional appropriation for the County Infrastructure Fund, $750,000. FIR 0162-23, additional appropriation for the GO 2010 Bond Debt Service Fund, $201. FIR 0163-23, acceptance appropriation of the Violent Crime Victims Assistance Program Grant, $36,500. FIR 0164-23, acceptance appropriation of the Victims Crime Act Child Advocacy Center Service Program, $67,740. FIR 0165-23, acceptance appropriation of the Illinois Home Weatherization Assistance Program, $368,559. And last FIR 0166-23, acceptance appropriation of the Illinois Weatherization Assistance Program for $736,590.
Okay, I have a motion by member Krajewski, second by member Desart. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Move on to informational, member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to receive and place on file informational items, A, payment of claims, B, wire transfers, C, appointments, and D, grant proposal notifications.
I have a motion by member Krajewski and a second by member Zay to approve the informational items. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. The receive and place on file, motion carries. Thank you, member Krajewski. We move
Thank you,
on
Madam
to
Chair.
our discussion items with about 15 minutes left. That gives us about 5 minutes per item. So we will have the regional superintendent of schools come up for their presentation. We're under a tight, strict deadline today. Sorry about that. Okay, good morning.
Good morning, well, Madam Chair Conroy and all members. I am very honored to be here. My name is Amber Quirk and I'm the regional superintendent as of July 1st. The election process was unfamiliar, but I am very passionate about helping kids. So this is very exciting to be here in front of you. And I'm here to honorably request funds for ARPA and okay, great. In 2021, until this June, we had hired a bilingual interventionist, and she supported the students' attendance in the 2 years with previously committed funds. Her student caseload had 14 students who improved their attendance, and that was with her direct support. 47% of the caseload does speak Spanish, and she will start the school year with 99 open cases. You might wonder, why do we have open cases? Part of that is as the school year ends, if students are showing improvement, but we feel like they're going to need a little extra when they come back to school, we keep those cases open and make sure that we come back and see them in the fall. I do want to point out, I had the opportunity to go to the MyCap graduation, and there were 12 students, 12 individuals who, after being arrested, were able to go through a program and an alternate program, and then get their lives back on track. And in a way, I feel like this is the early version of that, trying to intervene to get the kids back on track. Sorry, I'm trying to talk really quickly as fast as you guys did reading through your agenda. So our focus over the last few years has really been on prevention and intervention, built to the resilience piece. So in order to do that, we stressed with our department to really be focused on those positive desired outcomes, and even started referring to our name of our department as attendance and truancy rather than putting truancy first. And as you can see from the quote, we have surveyed the schools and have gotten positive feedback as well. We asked them to provide feedback about our services, including communication, what the best resources are that they have received, and if their students are improving their attendance. So we are asking that of all of our schools in the county who refer to us. We also analyzed the Illinois School Report Card data 2 years ago and found out which schools had the neediest students in the county based on their chronic absenteeism. And then we started networking with the schools personnel. They could come via Zoom, or we have in-person workshops to help them learn about what strategies to use, really focusing on the prevention and early intervention. We also did something different this last year where we targeted the students by area so that we could assign the interventionists to go to a specific area. And this really helped build stronger relationships with the schools, as well as with the families that they are working with closely. We also have nearly an entire team that has a counseling background. Counselors and social workers really understand trauma's impact on students' behavior and why they would choose to not come to school. They work to de-escalate the situation, and they are excellent mediators between the schools and the families where trust possibly has been impacted. So this past year, our entire team had a monthly average of 284 chronic truant students to support. And some of the interventionists were managing caseloads as high as 85 students a month. According to the 2023 Illinois Kids Count state report by the YWCA Metropolitan Chicago, 25% of our county children qualify as low income, and DuPage has a ratio of mental health providers of 290 to 1. So for the students referred to us this year, 76% qualify for free and reduced lunch. And our interventionists, being knowledgeable about the economic resources that we have and being able to support as mental health providers, is a very valuable asset for these children. I'm going to go through this slide pretty quickly, but if you are familiar with multi-tiered systems of support, school districts have them. And then when students come to us in tier 3, which is the top of the triangle, you should only have like 1 to 5% of the students in the school in that level. Then we also have multi-tiered systems of support for the students being referred to us. So we are continually trying to help educate schools on how to build their tier 1, which is what they do for all kids. So for example, again, we do the networking, and we're going to talk about attendance and tools and strategies that they can use. I've partnered with an associate professor from UIC who presents internationally on attendance. We did a pilot this spring with Attendance Works scan of environmental assessment tool. So we went in with a team of people to help do observations, and we didn't create the checklist. Honestly, it's from Attendance Works, which is a great tool, a great resource. And it's to provide them with extra information so that they can triangulate their data for better decision making. we created a train the trainer event for tier 2, which is small group, working with students in small groups. And then for tier 3, again, anytime we can connect with resources in the county. So I asked our team this spring, what are your top referred resources? And you'll see, you should recognize many of the names on here. Our office's 4th goal area is to facilitate collaborative arrangements between schools and districts, human and social organizations, and community service projects. So over the past 2 years, we've really monitored how often we've done these things. So our team this past year had 197 outreach meetings. That's going into the schools to meet with them, tell them about our resources available in the county. That was 70 more than last year. The interventionist also co-facilitated 1,254 school support meetings. So going in, meeting with the school, meeting with the family, and connecting them with those resources. And that is an increase from 345 meetings last year. They conducted 537 home visits and gave 542 referrals to these resources. So perhaps many of you know the quote, "If you build it, they will come," by Ray Kinsella. Anybody? No. Okay. Yeah, Field of Dreams. That's right. So I obviously COVID had a massive impact on student attendance. And then in addition, we have been really building our program. So I hope you notice on here the 132% increase in referrals that we've received since 2021. So we're getting a lot of students coming our way that we need to support, and a lot of families that we need to support. And that's up from 20%, up 20% this past year. Our whole team will start with 222 active and open cases. So what is our ask? We would really like to fund a bilingual interventionist to support Spanish-speaking students for the next 2 school years. So the current interventionist I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, she started being funded through ARPA funds in April of 2022. You can see what we've used. We have pending reimbursement in June, and then we only have $20,000 remaining. So we don't want to lose any of our personnel, and we would really like to be able to have an additional interventionist for the next 2 school years.
Okay, thank you so much for presentation. I'm going to open up to questions. Member Garcia.
One fast one. This is a great program. How do you feel like you're going to sustain this after the ARPA money is gone? That's my concern on this one, with the payment for that staff member.
I have an advisory group of superintendents, and I posed the idea of, if we were to lose funding, would you be open to the possibility of us hiring someone that possibly they pay a fee for service? That's one option.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good question. Any other questions? Okay, Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair. So the dollar amounts that you're asking about, do you have a metric to measure, like those 14 students that have improved? Do you have metrics that we can kind of take a look at to determine if those dollars are well spent? Because it's kind of a big ask for 14.
The 14 is specific to the one interventionist, not to the whole team's work, but so your question is, what would our metric be?
Well, specific, identifying specific things that are working, that, you know, are worth the funding that we're putting to that kind of thing.
I think that evaluation tool that I started with sending out to the districts to find out from them what communication, for example, what the resources are that they're finding valuable, what are their needs moving forward. I would want to definitely keep that going as a way to be able to come back and say, we're improving our communication, we're improving our support. I'm open to
Last
ideas.
question, and is this something you would like to see at every district, that we have an interventionist at every district, or is it yours an umbrella sort of a?
I think that would be fantastic.
Okay, all right.
I don't know that every district would be able to have that type of personnel. And I do think there are some larger districts that do hire family liaisons, or people who can leave the school building and go do the home visits. But for the smaller districts, when, you know, if they only have one social worker, that social worker needs to be in the building supporting the other 500 kids that are there, or 1,000, or however many they have. That's why I think we're a good shared resource to be able to go out and do those home visits for especially the school districts that can't necessarily have that personnel.
Thank you. So do we have consensus on this item to move it? Oh, Member Zay, go ahead. Oh, do we have consensus on this item to move this forward? Okay. All right, we do have consensus, so we'll bring this back at a later date and probably in August. So thank you. All right, I was conferring with the our Barb Reynolds over here, and we can, if we have time after executive session, we can put these other items under old business. So can we get to the Rib Fest? Can we have the discussion on that in the 5 minutes we have remaining? And then we can discuss it maybe under old business if we have time, or do you want to recess to executive session right now? What does the board feel? Recess? Okay. So pursuant to Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 120-2, collective negotiating matters, the public body and its employees or their representatives deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. I'm informed we do have matters to enter into executive session. So I will ask those not associated with executive session to please leave the room. And I'll take a motion to go into executive session pursuant to the Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 120 collective negotiating matters between public body and its employees or the representatives deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. Second, yes, and please show Member Cahill leaving for executive session. Do I have a motion by Member Garcia, second? By Member Rutledge? Okay, all in favor? Oh, we do need a roll call, right? Roll call. Roll
Member
call.
Cahill, Member Chaplin,
Aye.
Member Childress,
Yes.
Member Covert, Member Desart, Member Eckhoff, Member Evans,
Aye.
Member Galassi, Member Garcia,
Aye.
Member Guston, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Ozog, Member Rutledge, Member Schwarzy, Member Tornatori, Member Yu,
Aye.
Member Zay.
Okay, we'll wait till we're ready to, all the doors are closed.